Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest for this evening, Mr. J Nandakumar. On behalf of the Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, please give him a warm round of applause. A small introduction of our guest. He's the national convener of Prajna Pravah, an umbrella organization of think tanks. He's the author of 2 books. The first one, Hindutva for the Changing Times, and Swa, Struggle for National Selfhood, Past, Present and Future, which is a collection of essays on his ideas for nationhood. He has also been an RSS Pracharak for over 20 years. He's a powerful orator, a thought leader, and an inspiration for all youngsters and people who are not that young anymore. A few instructions before we start. I request everyone to put their mobile phones on silent mode. The meeting is being streamed online via Google Meet, so you can ask your friends to attend also. We will have a Q&A session towards the end. I will welcome our Vice Chancellor to come and speak a few words. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Manya, and good evening and welcome to all of you. And I join all of you in specially welcoming and warmly, felicitating our guest speaker for today, Sri Nandakumar ji. To add to what Manya said, of course, he is the convener of one of the very leading, I would say, think tanks in the country, the Prajna Pravah, and he has spent long innings with the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha, RSS. But more importantly, I also want to mention to you that he comes from a very strong spiritual tradition from Kerala, and he is a trained automobile engineer. He also spent a few years as a teacher. So actually, it's a very impressive and multifaceted personality we have before you. The topic that he will speak on is Uniform Civil Code, Saman Nagri Kaida. The word code, C-O-D-E, it's not code word, but code means kaida, law. So the topic is Uniform Civil Code, UCC, which I think is fairly topical right now. It is being discussed. I mean, there's a lot of debate about it, but it has a history. As far as modern India is concerned, we have completed 75 years as an independent nation, republic, but it has quite a history in modern times, and I'm sure Sri Nandakumar ji will make some reference to it. So what it means is that when we come together as a nation, we agree that we will abide by certain rules. मैं आपको थप्पड़ नहीं मारूंगा, आप मुझे थप्पड़ नहीं मारेंगे. So when we codify these things, it is called the Constitution. So So first we became independent from British rule, colonial rule. Then we said that we will abide as a society by certain rules. These rules and whatever you call it, rules of conduct, were debated for 2 or 3 years. Very solid. In fact, some of those debates happened in our own campus, in the Constituent Assembly. I told you the debates in the SIS building, Servants of India Society building. And after a lot of debate and discussion, we finally were able to codify a document called the Constitution. And of course, subsequently, some things were left out. So we have been amending the Constitution of India for the last 75 years. I think 120 or something, more than 100 amendments. But one of the important elements when we codify this is how many rules can we make of this conduct, which actually come in the sphere of our personal beliefs and personal life. Can the state, when we agree, can we make laws about what you can wear, what you cannot wear, how you will worship your God in your home, or what you will eat, how you will cook. Obviously, it sounds very ridiculous to say it. So anyway, I thought I'll just give you my perspective. So the Uniform Civil Code is an important step in this journey of our constitution making. So we look forward, and one of the country's foremost experts and exponents and someone who can articulate is with us today. So again, please give him a warm welcome, and please, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Most respected Vice Chancellor, sir, and all the respected faculty members, and also the students who are very eager to hear what I have to spell before you about this most controversial subject as far as the present political discourse is concerned. So straightway I am going into the subject. Why Bharat needs uniform civil code? My first answer is because we are Bharat. That's it. Bharat has got a rich tradition. As far as the Sanatana Dharma, the central principle or soul of this great nation is concerned, it always stands for correction, addition, purification. That's our tradition. We never say that we have discovered, invented the final truth, and there is nothing to add, and you are not allowed to intervene into that, and you cannot take anything out of it. That is not our thought. Bharat, I would like to say, I am not talking about any religious thought. Bharat always stands for it. That's why I said, we have to correct ourselves. We have to purify ourselves. We have to delete out many things which are not relevant today. And we have to add something. That's why our forefathers said, Ano Bhadra Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Let all noble thoughts come from any parts of the world, any nook and corner of this great world. We are ready to accept if it is not destroying ourselves. Mahatma Gandhiji used to say that I am welcoming all sort of wind. So for that purpose I am opening up my doors and windows to welcome that wind. But only one condition is that it shall not transform into a hurricane and destroy my room. That's only the precondition. So we are ready to accept anything. So that's why when Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan explained or defined what Sanatana Dharma or Hindu principle is, he said that it is a movement, not a position. It's a continuous movement. It is a process, not a result. See, someone are saying that we have found out the result, so you cannot add anything. But our forefathers said that it's a process, not a result. And Radhakrishnan was saying a beautiful phrase along with that. It's a growing tradition, not a fixed revelation. So in that way, we have to correct ourselves. We have to go forward. See, when we are saying about Naimisharanya, many of you might have heard about the term Naimisharanya. Naimisharanya is a place in Uttar Pradesh. But at the same time, it stands as a symbol of these type of corrective measures which we have undertaken during our long history. 88,000 sannyasins or great thinkers came together for months to discuss about our philosophy, whether it is going deep into the layman. Is it possible to convey the message properly, or we have to adopt any more new method? You may be knowing, there started the writing of Puranas to simplify the Upanishadic darshanas. So these type of corrections always happened. I am giving this introduction bit long only because when we are talking about uniform civil code, someone are saying that, see, we are following these type of customary practices about our marriage, our succession, our adoption and all maintenance theories, law, which are following for so many years. We are not ready to change. So if you are talking anything about that, that is an encroachment into our personal laws or religious rights. But as far as Bharat is concerned, for example, in Rigveda, there is a wonderful samvada. That samvada is Yama Yami samvada. Yama Yami samvada. None of us are believing that everything was good in the past. In the past, it was not like that. In Rigveda, Yama and his sister Yemi were discussing about one thing. That is, Yemi found Yama very beautiful. Though he is her brother, she wants to marry him. From that dialogue, we come to know that such practices were there. There might have been there at that point of time. At that time, Yama, he was the first person to codify the new marriage law in our history. Yama is giving a sermon, an upadesha. Why these type of practices are to be changed? So it is not proper moral to marry her own brother. That was in short that Yemi Samvada. So Yama didn't think that it is to be followed, it can be taken forward because so many years we are practicing it. Their correction, purification, addition, deletion has happened. That's why Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan said it is an ever-growing tradition, not a fixed revelation. Another example I would like to say, it is not proper to give more example to prove a theory. That's a weakness or drawback of a speaker. Sorry, I am accepting, I am a weak speaker. See, Swetaketu and Uddalaka. Again, history went forward, and at that point of time, there was a practice that if any person coming to a family, living there, even a sannyasi or someone, if he likes someone in that family, though she may be a mother, though she may be a wife, I am bluntly speaking, we cannot claim that everything was okay in the yesteryears. It was not like that. See, once a sannyasi came to Uddalaka's ashrama. While he was going after this whole reception and everything, that sannyasi found that the wife of Uddalaka is very beautiful, and he cajoled her hand and asked her to come follow me. Same time, an 8-year-old boy, Shetaketu, was standing there, her son of Uddalaka. He caught hold of his mother's left hand, and he was pulling her back to the ashrama. And then comes the Upadesha of Swetaketu to his father. This stupid practice is to be stopped. So he again codified the marriage law. So we have to accept all these things. This is the way in which our own, this great land's marriage law and everything has been transformed. It is to be that is why ours is an ancient as well as most modern culture. Chira Puratana bhi hai, Nitya Nutana bhi hai. That is a speciality. That's why I said, why we want to change the existing law, whatever it may, it is necessary only because our nation is Bharat and we have got such a culture. And my second point, why we need a uniform civil code. Bluntly I am saying, we don't want yet another partition. That's it. We don't want to allow a nation within a nation to survive. I am bluntly saying, some may agree or not agree. I don't want to theorize much. That is the reason. We don't want another partition. Our constitution builders had stated it in the directive principle very clearly. They never gave or gave the responsibility for the coming political leaders to their discretionary powers. Specifically, the constitutional builders have put it in clearly in Article 44. I am quoting, the state shall endeavor to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. Unquote. It has been clearly mentioned. And again I am adding one particular sentence again, that they never give it to the discretion of the coming political leaders and give specific direction in the due course. When the situation is congenial, you have to create a uniform civil code. All over the territory of India, here I am remembering one particular speech of none other than Baba Saheb Ambedkar in 1916 in Columbia University. You are all aware about the fact that he was the alumni of Columbia University. There he spoke about castes in India. It has been published as a book also. In that particular book or speech, he has mentioned, it was an anthropology seminar in which he presented his views. I am quoting, "It is the unity of culture that is the basis of homogeneity." Bharat is one. Ambedkar was saying, Bharat is one. And that the basis of this homogeneity is none other than our one culture. And again, taking this for granted, I venture to say that there is no country that can rival the Indian peninsula with respect to the unity of its culture. I have started my speech from that cultural unity also. Again, it is not only a geographical unity. So he is agreeing that there is a geographical unity. Uttaram yat samudrasya himadre chaiva dakshinam varisham tat bharatam nama bharati yatra santati. Vishnu Purana says. Veda says there is a geographical unity. But it has over and above all a deeper and a much more fundamental unity. There is a fundamental unity. And he is explaining it with a beautiful adjective, the indubitable cultural unity that covers the land from end to end. That's why in the directive principle also it has been said, throughout the territory of Bharat, it is to be implemented, such a law is necessary. So, before discussing about Article 44, see, I am in the morning session also I was talking before the law men, and I was made as comment that I am a layman, not a lawman. Here also you are all well educated, well informed students and faculty members. Still I am talking about Constitution, though I am not a lawyer. Okay. But before discussing about Article 44, we must go a bit deep into the background and compulsions which resulted in the incorporation of such an article in the Constitution. What was the compulsion behind the Constitution builders to include such an article? What was the background? All of a sudden it didn't come into their mind or dropped from the blues to their heads. It was not like that. There is a background. Article 44 was a reaction to the 1937 Sharia Act. We all have to understand that background. In 1937, Britain has introduced the Sharia law. What was the condition before that, prior to that? Had the 1937 Act not been passed and subsisted, the Constituent Assembly would not have wasted its time on the UCC. It would not have been necessary. It was not necessary also. They could not allow a separate religious law, that to a law that divided Bharat. What was the condition in 1947-48? Some religion was demanding a partition. But still, our constitution builders, I am using that word, wasted a long period on UCC. What was the background? Very thought of the idea of UCC in Constituent Assembly was clearly to undo the 1937 Sharia Act. What was the condition just before this Sharia Act was being introduced by the Britain? Common civil law base was the base of Hindu-Muslim society till October 1937. With all responsibility I am saying. This was said by none other than Baba Saheb Ambedkar during the UCC discussion in the Constituent Assembly. See, I am from Kerala. It has already been said. In Kerala, the northern part of Kerala has got a peculiar type of Muslims named Moplas. So this Mopla rebellion, Mopla riot, all these things you must have heard. So that Moplas considered to be very virulent and very much concerned about the religious habits. Still, these Moplas were following the local Hindu customs in marriage, succession, maintenance, adoption, and whatnot. See, actually, this UCC, what is this UCC? It is all concerned with 3-4 things which can be considered perfectly as a secular subjects. It is secular. It has nothing to do with religion actually. Succession में क्या मजहब का क्या बात है? पुत्रियों को, लड़कियों को जो संपत्ति देना है, estates is to be divided among them also. What is religion in that? It is all relation between father and daughter, or mother and daughter, or son. It was followed till 1937. Moplas were continuing with the local Hindu customs. Not only Kerala, Punjab and northwest province, local Hindu customs prevailed over Sharia. There also. There are lot of examples. In Punjab, they were allowing, the Muslims were allowing widows' life estate in property. Give her an absolute share. That is the practice. Custom of adoption was prevalent and legal. Writing wills recognized by courts. Actually, in Sharia, writing will is prohibited. But here, in many areas of Bharat, local Muslims, they never agitated against it. They never demanded that we need our own law in these type of activities. We don't want will writing and everything. But it was continuing. Did not recognize iddat. See, in Sharia law there is a particular section, it is known as iddat. That is, once a wife was divorced, saying 3 times talaq, then there is a particular period that is known as 3 months period, the maintenance is to be given, that is known as iddat. But it was not followed there. In Ayodhya, see, after 1857 war, it was continuous Islamic rule in Ayodhya, Awadh. But in Awadh also, Muslims' widows were enjoying absolute share in their partition. Awadh Estates Act exempted Muslims from the application of the Sharia. That was a condition before 1937, I am saying. It is same in Ajmer, Mewar, Madhya Pradesh के Kambojis में predominantly agriculture were governed by local Hindu customs in matters of inheritance. It was not Sharia. Those who are from Gujarat, those who are familiar to the Kachi Memons practices and everything, they also may be remembering that Kachi Memons and Khojas continued to be governed by Hindu laws. Sunni Bohras, Moli Salam, Giryasis in Gujarat. In the presidency, not only in the Dehati areas, in the presidency towns like Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, many of the Muslim groups were following Hindu customs. Again, that particular year you have to remember before this 1937 Sharia law. Along with that, I would like to mention an interesting part. Though it was UCC, that Sharia law was implemented in 1937, but till 1980, in Kuch Bihar area, it was continued till 1980. In 1980, the government there, the state government, I don't want to give the political party who was ruling at that time, I don't want to say anything political aspects here. I am only saying the 1980 government taught Kuch Bihari Muslims that no, there is a law in which you have to follow that Sharia law. It is not necessary for you to follow this Hindu customs here. So when was the Sharia law now claimed by the Islamists? I am saying Islamists, not all Islams. Islamists as an immutable part of Islam legislated over the Islamic converts in India. It was proved. It was in 1937, just 10 years before partition. It was. So there are so many reasons for this particular Sharia law, why it was implemented. And what all amendments are made in the Sharia law also in 1937. There was a underhand dealings in between the Zamindar Muslims and Jinnah type, I would like to say Jinnah type rich people in the Muslims. One small example I am giving, there was an amendment made in that Sharia law in which using that Jinnah execute a will to disinherit his daughter Dina. You may be knowing that Dina married a Parsi man. Jinnah was not remembering that his mother was also a Parsi, but he is not giving the permission to Dina to marry a Parsi man. So, but she married. So he want to execute a will to disinherit Dina. That 1937 rule has given him the permission also. That was a underhand dealing in between the some small leaders, rich leaders in that. So again, cutting the whole matter short, I would like to come refer some of the major discussions happened in the Constituent Assembly. See, this is a place where some of the discussions happened also. It's a very historical place. You are all lucky to learn, study, teach about Bharat and learn about Bharat in such a place. So in the Constituent Assembly, a great towering personality, a legal luminary like K.M. Munshi, pointed out that the House has already accepted the principle that, quote, if a religious practice followed so far covers a secular activity or falls within the field of social reform or social welfare, it would be open to Parliament to make laws about it without infringing this fundamental right of a minority, unquote. See, there was a great stand, some of the Muslim leaders took a stand in which they are saying it is an infringement into their personal religious rights and everything. K.M. Munshi giving answer to that, he was saying, already it has been accepted by us all that if a religious practice followed so far covers a secular activity or falls within the field of social reform or social welfare, it would be open to Parliament to make laws. So it can be. And again, he was saying, regarding the argument that UCC would be tyrannical to minorities, he quoted the examples of Turkey and Syria. You may be knowing Turkey and Syria were dominantly Muslim nation. There, nowhere in advanced Muslim countries, the personal law of each minority has been recognized as so sacrosanct as to prevent the enactment of a civil code. That was a condition in Turkey and Syria at that point of time even. So Munshi K. Munshi has put forward 3-4 points. One, to ensure the country is unified and secular. So uniform civil code is not anti-secular. K. Munshi was saying to keep our nation unified and to keep this great land as a sarva dharma samabhavi land in that way. Second point, how can religion interfere in matters like, I have already asked, it was actually Munshi's question towards this type of people. He was saying, how can religion interfere in matters like inheritance and succession? इसमें क्या है, क्या लेना देना है इसमें? Enactment of common, and another thing, it will affect the Hindus also. This is not the case alone to a particular religion. Some of the Hindu groups also will be affected with if the common civil code will be implemented. It has also been said. It is to ensure gender equality. See, एक great एक विडंबना हम आजकल सुनने को मिलता है. Those people who are the proponents or the votaries or the great speakers of gender equality, gender fluidity, what not. But when this uniform civil code case comes, they will never talk about gender equality. Actually, uniform civil code stands for gender equality. The personal law is part of religion, is a mindset that has been perpetuated under British rule. I would like to quote another great personality, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer. He has also said very clearly, answering the argument religion is in danger and communities cannot live in amity, he said, UCC aims at amity and does not destroy it. सही में सब लोग एक साथ मिलकर जीना है तो इसमें अलग अलग नियम बाधा डालते हैं. It is affecting our unity. Differential system of inheritance and other matters will only contribute to the already existing differences. Our differences and gap will increase. That was his comment. And one particular question he has raised, that was regarding the criminal law. Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer has raised that issue. Why was there no revolt when the common criminal law was enacted by the Britain? There was no agitation or communal violence or any riot took place at that time. They were all ready to accept that criminal law can be common. How can it be? Not necessary to quote Baba Sahib Ambedkar, his stand is regarding UCC is very much clear. He said, there was already a uniform, that already I have said also, there was already a uniform civil code covering all aspects of human relationship that it was possible to have uniform civil code in the country. That was a condition. He reminded the assembly of the northwest frontier province which followed the Hindu law in the matter of succession, in the matter of and others. And again he said, in United Provinces, the Central Province and Bombay, the Muslims to a large extent were governed by Hindu law in matter of succession. Example he has given that North Malabar, he has quoted a Karnakara Menon, a very great lawyer there in Kerala. He was quoting Karnakara Menon and saying that the Moplas of Kerala, Malabar area were following this common civil code prior to that. So now I would come to the major comments made by honorable courts regarding the UCC. Already I said philosophically, दर्शन पक्ष मैंने आपके सम्मुख रखने के लिए कोशिश किया. Why we need it? Because we are Bharat. Because we don't want yet another partition. Because we don't want to allow another nation live inside this nation. That is the reason. And again, I have tried to put before you about the Constituent Assembly debates and what was the necessity and the compulsion of the Article 44 of the Directive Principle. That also I have said. What was the relevance of 1937 Sharia law? It was to nullify the effect of Sharia law. That discussions took place. And what was the comments made by the great personalities who were there in the Constituent Assembly. Major cases came before Honorable High Courts and also Supreme Court. One of it is Shabano case of 1985. You know, whenever we are quoting Shabano case, then suddenly politics will come into it. After a prolonged 40 years married life, Muhammad Ahmad Khan told, what do you say, talak to his wife, 73-year-old Shabano, and she was divorced. What happened afterwards, I don't want to explain. Every story has got a tailpiece also. I want to talk about what happened to Criminal Procedure Code 125, Section 125 after that. See, what is Criminal Procedure Code 125 says? Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code provides for the maintenance to the wife, child and parents. The wife who is unable to maintain herself by providing monthly maintenance to her. And if it is being violated, husband can be punished. In short, that is CRPC 125. But immediately after this verdict made by the court, the most honorable, respected Prime Minister came, and he is considered to be the most modern and techno-friendly, pure, clear Prime Minister ever ruled in Bharat, as far as the present discourses are concerned. Anyway, he put forward, he came with an amendment, and that amendments and the laws name itself, act's name itself is very much interesting. Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act 1986, in which this article 125 itself has been nullified. Nullified to the Muslim community alone. So again, in 1994, at that time also, many of the Supreme Court judges, they expressed their helplessness, at least after retirement. They made public statements also. It has been clearly mentioned and asked the legal experts and the political leaders and the dispensations to come forward by bringing a uniform civil code, but what we are doing, it is quite deplorable. ऐसा बताए हुए judges भी है. In 1994, in Allahabad court and Mumbai court, there was a case about this, about the divorce case among the particular community. Both the court came out with a judgment which was, actually it was similar, and in which the particular sentence was very much famous. Talaq pronouncement is unconstitutional. That was in 1994. In 2003, there was a case known as John Vallamattam case. In that John Vallamattam case, Honorable CJ, Chief Justice, concludes his historical judgment with these words. I am quoting from Supreme Court Chief Justice, his comment, quoting, "It is a matter of regret that Article 44 of the Constitution has not been given effect to. Parliament is still to step in for framing a common civil code in the country. A common civil code will help the cause of national integration," underline karna hai, cause of national integration, by removing the contradictions based on ideologies. For the reasons aforementioned, this writ petition is allowed, and Section 118 of the Indian Succession Act is declared is unconstitutional, being violative of Article 14 of Constitution of India. Only 3 examples, because the paucity of the time. Supreme Court judges, High Court judges were all in a way not ordering. Many of them were requesting the political dispensation to come out with a proper common civil code. Then I am coming to the last point. This is also a 2-3 hour long speech ka vishay hai. Last point. Muslim countries. There are 2 types of Muslim countries. One is so-called democratic Muslim countries like Indonesia, Tunisia, Turkey, Lebanon, Malaysia, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. I am taking 8 examples. I am not going to talk about all the 8. Again, 8 Muslim countries where Sharia is being followed. That is Bangladesh, Pakistan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain. What is the condition? Both these groups, the Muslim countries which are called to be or explained to be democratic, what is the condition? And the countries where this Sharia law is being followed. So we have to find out what is the reason, what is the speciality of Bharat that these type of demands are there. Part 1, Muslim countries having equal laws. Indonesia. Indonesia recognizes the principle of equality before the law and prohibits discrimination based on religion, ethnicity, race and everything. Okay. The reforms are aimed at promoting gender equality and addressing some of the disparities that existed under previous interpretations of Sharia law. Marriage age in Indonesia. The legal age of marriage was raised from the previous minimum age of 16 for females and 19 for males to 19 for both in Indonesia. Polygamy is very interesting. While polygamy is permitted under Islamic law, Indonesian personal law imposes stricter conditions for its practice. How it can be proved, I don't know, but there is a strange diktat That is, a husband must meet certain requirements, such as obtaining a court permission and demonstrating his ability to treat multiple wives fairly and equitably. That is to be proved before the court, then only he can marry more. Is that condition here in Bharat? I don't know. Divorce, inheritance, women's right. Everywhere Indonesia came out with modern laws which was actually against the present, that existing Sharia law. Tunisia, they made a personal law known as Code of Personal Status. That is CPS as far as Tunisia is concerned. Usme bhi women's right, polygamy. There also the husband has to prove his capacity to or his ability to treat all wives equitably before the court, then only he will be allowed to marry more. Marriage age in Tunisia, marriage at 18 for both males and female, with no exceptions. Divorce के लिए भी कानून बहुत सख्त है. And also after divorce, who will take care of the children? See, generally in Sharia law, you may be knowing that the husband or the father has got the right, has got only the right. In some exceptions are there, but in generally that is it. But in as per CPS of Tunisia and many other Islamic countries, it has been clearly mentioned, it all depends upon the capacity of the father or mother whom they can take care of the children. They will give the, दोनों को समान अधिकार दिया है. These are all the issues which when we are discussing about the UCC also, these are the issues. Only these issues. It is not regarding Saptapadi. Some are saying that, see, UCC, if UCC is being implemented, then Muslims also do Saptapadis. See, in Kerala, we are not doing Saptapadi. In Hindus also. In my community, there is no Saptapadi. Some are saying like that, ridiculing these things, idiocracy. Turkey also same thing. I don't want to explain much. See, let us come to the so-called countries where in which Sharia was implemented. One is Bangladesh, first and foremost example, very near to us. Bangladesh has implemented significant reforms in its personal law, particularly in the area of family law. While the country's personal law system is primarily based on Islamic law, there have been certain reforms and amendments that aim to address gender inequality, perfect individual rights. These are all being perfectly, specifically mentioned in Muslim Family Laws Ordinance of 1961 in Bangladesh. Muslim Family Laws Ordinance was enacted to regulate family matters for Muslims, then East Bengal, part of Pakistan. It introduced the reforms to address gender inequality and all. What is the age of marriage in Bangladesh? Recently, when some political leaders made a comment about the raising of the age in Bharat, what was the all natak, all sort of agitations took place in Bharat. Legal age of marriage for females in Bangladesh is 18 years, while for males it is 21 years. Divorce procedures, maintenance, inheritance, everywhere we can see that it is not perfectly following the Sharia laws. What about Pakistan? That also is to be seen. There also in 1961, before Pakistan divided, this law ordinance came into existence, this Muslim family laws. There also, marriage age is 18 years and 21 years. In some areas, male के लिए 18 years भी लागू है, 18 और 18-21. That is there. Divorce procedure में भी Muslim Family Laws Ordinance introduced the reforms to provide clear procedures for divorce, including the requirement of written notice of divorce and the provision of maintenance for divorced women. The reforms aim to ensure fairness and protect the rights of both parties in divorce proceedings. UAE में भी, Saudi Arabia में भी, I don't want to explain all of this. But because of some sort of peculiar political condition here and the so-called political correctness, See, that's a strange word came into existence in our political discourses. Everywhere we have to follow the political correctness. See, right from the beginning till now, I have used so many politically incorrect statements. So it is because I don't want to contest the next election. I don't want votes also. That's why I said this type of politically incorrect statements. भारत के अंदर बाकी इस्लामिक कंट्रीज में भी ये लागू नहीं है. आफ्टर ऑल व्हाट इज ऑल दीज थिंग्स, what all great changes are going to happen? Only about gender equality का issue है, divorce का issue है, and also maintenance का issue है, adoption का issue है. Matter it was not that serious or not considered to be offensive to any religion. Prior to 1937, all of a sudden it became a great matter of debate nowadays. So students and faculty members of such a premier institution in Bharat, we also have to discuss about it properly. I am not saying I haven't made any conclusive statements. As you, I also अभी तक मैंने भी किसी ड्राफ्ट देखा नहीं है यूसीसी का, but I am just placing before you my thoughts regarding this. Why I am saying UCC is needed now? Why it is needed? Yes, in 1947 it was quite difficult because of that condition, the socially, communally surcharged atmosphere after the bloodbath of communal violence and partition and everything. It was not congenial to introduce at that point of time. That is why our leaders, Ambedkar and all, but they specifically came forward with a direction to the coming generation. It is needed for national integration, national unity, social harmony. This is to be implemented. It is needed for gender equality. It is needed for the welfare of the women. It is for the women right. It may be against some of the practices may be taken as against any religion. It is not just against some particular religion. It will be against some of the practices being followed by Hindus even. So we have to sit together, think about it, and come out with a formula. I am also requesting, because here political science and social science is also a subject here. So it's your duty. It is a generational duty of our generation. I am including myself into your generation. We all have to come forward with a proper direction or proper opinion regarding this very sensitive issue. It is not that sensitive. If you can boldly come forward with a proper code, then it can be implemented. That is my take about this. Thank you. Namaskar.
Sir, thank you very much for a very wonderful, sharp, hard-hitting, crystal clear presentation. We'll have some time for questions and answers. What I suggest is please identify yourself and ask your question. Try to be brief so we can accommodate more questions. And of course, as you can see, very thankful that you're here, even though he has a throat condition. So let us not tax him too much, but maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Hello sir, good afternoon. I am Devang Katikar. I just want to ask a question regarding if the Uniform Civil Code gets implemented, will it also lead to a reduction in the population explosion that is there in India? And the second thing, will it also have a strengthening effect on the financial situation of the Muslims that is there in this country?
These type of laws definitely will have multifaceted effects. I am not just saying about the population explosion alone. You have mentioned about that, but anyway, these type of uniformity in these type of laws will naturally will have an effect in them regarding the prodigies, the coming generation and everything. And also as far as this women rights will be, generally it will be approved and it will be supported by this law, then naturally the women will also come up with new entrepreneurships, and also the economic activities can also be flourished. There are a number of possibilities. But first and foremost thing is we have to live as a nation, one nation. That is a major thing. And also we have to follow, everyone must follow the great tradition of that land. That was the point where I have started. Ours is a land wherein which correction, purification, addition, and if necessary deletion is not a big deal as far as we are concerned. That is needed.
You told about all other countries, Bangladesh, Pakistan,
Yes.
in India.
He is asking what is the permissible marriage age for a girl in India.
And so already it has been stated that 1821.
No, in India.
India it is low. It,
That is what I'm
yes.
telling
You please say, being a man.
9 years. It's 9 years.
It is 9 years. So आपका जो क्वेश्चन का आंसर इसमें भी है. And you are not allowed to touch on it. That 9 years. Recently the government, some of the representatives of the government stated that it is to be raised to 1821. Then there was a very halla-bulla. है ना? So it's great. प्रदीप जी ने याद दिलाया. Who is
अच्छा,
given?
very on it's on.
Hello, I'm Prashant Bansode. I'm a professor here. I would very humbly and respectfully beg to differ on the point which are talked about Ambedkar and the unity of culture, which he has stated in this paper of Caste in India. Its genesis, mechanism, and development. So it's with Alvin Goldenweiser that, and I teach this to my students for last 20 years, more than 20 years. I would differ on this, that he is talking about the culture of unity in terms of how there has been division of caste throughout north and the south and east and the west. So I would like to emphasize that he was talking really differences and hierarchies of caste when he's saying that it is parceling of the Indian population, artificial chopping of the Indian population into different castes.
What is
that
your,
is one.
What
okay?
is your difference of opinion? Whether he hasn't mentioned about the cultural unity, that indubitable unity?
He has talked of
I am
culture.
only mentioning about that only.
No, let me finish my point. if I can.
Yeah,
Can
please go ahead.
Yeah, that is one. Then at least one should start this discussion of gender equality in terms of UCC, which Ambedkar himself has acknowledged that you should have it. Okay, and I welcome that. The first bill of gender equality in terms of civil code is the Hindu Civil Code in 1950s, which Ambedkar presented in the parliament. So can you just give your comments that why that bill was opposed by some groups, women groups in India?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. See, my point regarding that unity in Bharat as far as the culture is concerned, it has been clearly mentioned. I don't say that caste differences were not here, and I never said that such caste differences have not been highlighted by Baba Sahib Ambedkar. That was not my point. My point was just all over territory, in the Bharat as a whole, it is to be implemented. That was in the Article 44. That was the only thing which I mentioned. Another thing, see, we were not able to implement the Uniform Civil Code. So, there started an exercise to implement or introduce a Hindu Code Bill. There was a huge difference of opinion among some groups. So, we have to sort it out. I am not for that. That type of opposition is what I have said in the beginning itself. It is needed to be corrected. We have to add something. If there are some sort of shortcomings in our culture, it is to be deleted. That's my point. That I have mentioned already. If at all someone was opposing it, I know many names, I don't want to cite here. Yes, there are some oppositions. Many Hindu religious leaders also opposed it. Some women organizations also opposed. So, but still, as far as the gender equality is concerned, Whether in Hindus that equality is not there, can you say so? When comparing with some others. So let us not make that a discussion point or debate point here. But the point is, my point is very clear. If at all some shortcomings are there, if at all Hindus are also going to be affected by this common civil code or uniform civil code, it is to be implemented. That is my point. I will be for that change.
But we'll take that lady at the back.
Hello, sir. You just mentioned just before in your speech that you don't want a nation within a nation. Can you tell us elaborately how UGC will have a framework to not have a nation within nation? Because there's only one nationality in India. No matter which personal law you get married into, you just use one nationality. So I suppose there's only one nationality Indian. Another thing is, sir.
No, please, only one question.
One question.
Sir, just
We have so many people waiting.
yeah, sir, just a small
Okay,
thing.
quick.
So, will UCG be aiming to create equality in marriage laws or equality in the marriage as an institution?
It is not at all talking about how marriage and the customs of the marriage that can be followed as per your family customs and or your caste customs or as far as the religious customs. It can be followed. Where it is to be happen in the mosque or the temple or the church, it can be there. UCC will not intervene into that aspects, the customs of the marriage. It is only regarding the divorce. It is only regarding the maintenance. It is only regarding, it is affected with the, adoption and all those things. When I am saying that a nation inside nation, it is एक प्रकार का एक वर्णन इस प्रकार से एक poetic ऐसा कर सकते. You may not feel that it is a poem, but I was only saying that some are not ready to follow the constitution. What does it mean? Constitution has clearly mentioned, or constitution builders have clearly mentioned. Otherwise, why they have introduced that Article 44 in that? They have clearly mentioned UCC is necessary. But if you are not ready to follow that constitutional direction, there comes a problem. That's why I said that mentality is somewhat a nation inside nation. That's my point. I am not saying that there will be a partition today or tomorrow, but it shall not be allowed to flourish. It shall not be allowed to increase. That's my point.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Hello, sir. My name is Jargon, and I'm a PhD student in sociology. So, I would like to know your opinion on this particular point. When you say Bharat, so Bharat, when we talk about Bharat does not have one particular culture. I believe so, because we are heterogeneous society. You also spoke about polygamy, which in Hindu society we don't see much. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but in my society in the Northeast, I'm from Arunachal Pradesh, we do have polygamy system there. So my point is that when we talk about India as a nation and then we see all this heterogeneous society, so the challenges that will be while implementing the UCC, the challenges that comes not only to the Hindu or Muslim, but also to the tribal states, tribal society, where the constitution has been granted 6 schedule and 371A, where we are supposed that they are protecting and promoting our culture. And so how does these accommodate in the UCC? And also when we talk about UCC and the whole Bharat as a nation, most of the society is patrilineal society, whereas we do have a matrilineal society as well. So how does these things are accommodating in the UCC? I would like to know your opinion on that. Yeah, thank you so much.
It is also a matrilineal society.
Yeah, a Nair community.
Okay.
Yeah.
But another thing, Bharat, when we are saying we have got one culture, I am not saying that little traditions are not to be approved, or the tribal habits, tribal lifestyle, and all those things are not to be allowed. That is not my point. If at all some sort of resentment, some sort of fear, some sort of opposition towards this UCC when it is being implemented among the tribal society. We have to sit together and discuss about that. I haven't got any tailor-made solution for all these things. I am just repeating what our great constitution builders have made. Nothing has been added by me in that. You may be knowing. While I am presenting my views, it was only repeating or echoing what Ambedkar has said, what Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer has said, what K. M. Munshi has said, and what was the discussion point, what was the background of this Article 44 itself. Before 1937, it was being followed among. Now, the main opposition is coming from a particular religion. That's a fact. Not from the tribal community. Yes, tribal community will be the leaders and the thinkers and the great gurus of that particular tribal communities will sit together and they will also come out with a proper solution for this. When we are talking about UCC, even without a draft, I haven't seen any draft. Have you seen, sir? No, not even a draft has been made. A discussion has been mooted. It has started. All thinking people should put their heads together. We have to discuss about it. There were so many differences when this nation was made. See, regarding union and federation, there was a huge discussion. Hazrat Mohani was totally against this usage of union of states. He was arguing it must be a federation of sovereign states. But what was the answer of Baba Sahib Ambedkar? It must be a union. Why? No state can be given the authority or the freedom to secede from Bharat. That was his stand regarding the usage of union. Bharat is a union. That doesn't mean that it is not allowing any federal values to be followed. There are enough scope for federal values also. That's why our honorable Pradhan Mantri, Prime Minister, he अक्सर बताते हैं एक फेडरल कॉपरेशन cooperative federalism. It is also there. But as far as the constitution is concerned, there was opposition to the usage of federation. Still it has been approved. In why? Hours long, days long discussion took place on this particular Article 1. Article 1 के बारे में भारत शब्द word is not necessary there. India is ancient. It is to be followed. That was the demand made by so many people in and outside Constituent Assembly. Yeah. But how it was being answered? Bharat, right from the Vedic period, Bharat is there. N number of references are there. So Bharat is also included. India is also equally respected. But Bharat is our civilizational name. Civilizational name and also our territorial name also is Bharat. That's why it has been included. आपका जो क्वेश्चन ठीक है, इस प्रकार का प्रॉब्लम रेज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आप लोग, इसलिए मैंने आपके सामने यह विषय रखा है. We have to sit together and discuss whether UCC is needed or not. Why it was needed. From there we have to discuss. It cannot be implemented by a diktat from the center. You have to discuss.
Mr. Gupta, please keep it brief. We want to wrap up. Yeah.
Very quick, a small question. Sir, I am Rajendra Gupta. I am the professor of practice here. My question is, sir, one of the elements of UCC would be the succession. And in succession, what are your views on two specific things? One is the HUF, Hindu Undivided Family, and Mitakshara and Dayabhaga system. So what would be your view? If a UCC succession uniform act comes, how does these two kind of exceptions in or exceptional qualities of Hindu law, how will they get affected? What was the journey you see? Thank you.
The same answer I would like to say, and I have already, Gupta ji, I have already said that I haven't made any specific draft till now. I haven't made. Even the government also haven't made. This Hindu Undivided Family HDF issue is there. And many great leaders started thinking about it and they are planning to come out with a proper formula for this. And already during that Constituent Assembly debate also, that I have already mentioned, Hindus are also going to be affected with this. So, but Hindu leaders and Hindu religious leaders as well as the thought leaders must come together and lawyers also come forward and properly make a solution for all these confusions. Now we cannot say that it should be followed or that should be followed. Each and every aspect there must be a long journey. It must happen. So it is just a beginning. After long, so many years, this UCC issue has come forward and the discussion has started. That's all. There will be problems. I am not saying that there will not be any problems.
So we'll take only two more questions. That lady at the back, and so you can go first, and then yours will be the last question. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I know,
thank you, sir.
Sorry, I know that we have a lot of questions, but we have time.
I'm Balu from faculty here. So you have given extensive examples about Islamic laws and rules. Can you just elaborate on how other religions would be affected by UCC? Other rules in the other religions, Buddhism, Christian, and others. So as I heard you, there was extensive discussion only on Muslim laws.
See, I have already mentioned about Hindu laws. Hindu undivided family, especially the succession issue, will be there. Already such resentments are raised by so many leaders of or the mukhyas of the families. So that's one another thing. As far as tribals are concerned, there are so many diversities regarding polygamy, regarding the succession, and all those things, laws and everything. There must be thorough discussion about that. As far as the Christians are concerned, see, after Mary Roy case, there the Christian community never came before and started an agitation after that rule has been implemented. That Arundhati Roy's Mataji, Mary Roy issue, and succession issue which has been raised in the church as a whole. I am not saying as a whole. The majority of the church leadership was supporting that new law regarding the succession and all. John Vallamattam case, I have mentioned that CJ has made that statement and Christian community came together and they started thinking about a common thing which is very much common with other communities. Bauddha Dharma also may be affected with, I don't know about all their customary practices and everything. I am not an expert. Already I have said that it is a layman's view. As a society, representative इस रूप में मैं ये विषय आपके सम्मुख रखने की प्रयास किया है. So for all these things, it is only a starting point. The real experts must come together. I do feel and I am quite confident about the fact that already such discussions have started, including some retired Chief Justice of Supreme Court and everywhere. They all started thinking together and they will come out with a proper draft and it will be in the public domain and it is not going to be implemented on a fine morning without any proper discussion. Yeah. I do support this intention of this present government in this aspect regarding NEP, National Education Policy. It has been given before you for a long 1 year. It has been given before you to discuss about it. As far as the curriculum framework also, it is there in the open domain. We can comment upon it. So in this way, this draft will also, we feel and we hope that it will come before you and that discussion has started effectively.
Okay, last two questions only. That lady and then Pradeep ji.
Pradeep ji का question नहीं होगा.
एक last one. Yeah, go ahead.
While talking about cultural unity in India, you mentioned that some Muslim communities in India also followed inheritance laws as per Hindu tradition, like the Moplas in Kerala. But the Hindu Inheritance Acts for women have also been amended recently, like in 1937 and 1956. So how were the Muslim communities following inheritance practices according to Hindu laws, which in itself prevented women, which in
in which women were discriminated in inheritance in the past? And also, do you think these communities practice these laws because they were converts from marginalized Hindu castes? And also, you talked about polyamory being an issue which UCC intends to correct, but the recent research bulletin published by IIPS suggests that polyamory is a very minimal issue in India. About 1.4% of women say that their husband has another wife, according to NFHS 5 round of 2019 to 22, and it has also been decreasing constantly. And polyamory is also prevalent in Hindu communities. Just last point.
That has already been mentioned by.
Yeah, and also I wanted to know your views on UCC being a voluntary act like the Special Marriage Act. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar also mentioned in the Constituent Assembly debates in 28 November 1948 that the UCC, the application of the code may be purely voluntary. So what are your views on this?
Madam, you smuggled 4 questions into one. But
I can't remember all those things. One thing.
So she was saying that those Moplar were.
I was mentioning about
that they were following secular law, but she says that itself was.
There were some discriminatory things in Hindus also. I have already mentioned. You must have been shocked to hear the Yama Yami Samvada. I have started from there. There were some shortcomings. It is to be corrected. What about the Uddalaka and Upamanyu collection? And all those things are there. And when I was saying that prior to 1937, in many of the areas, I am not saying that Hindu laws, the local Hindu laws I have added, because from which community or which territory they were converted, there existed some laws. The Muslims were converted from a particular group. So they were following that Hindu law. There was no problem. They never said that our religious laws are being infringed. It has been encroached. ऐसा उन्होंने नहीं बता रहे थे. When this 1937 Sharia law was implemented, then only this type of difference of opinion between the Hindus and Muslims started coming into existence. That is my take about that. That's my point. And I am also admitting there were so many problems. We can't say that everything past was correct. At least I am not of that opinion. And polygamy आपने जो बताया था, in Kerala also, in Hindus, especially in the Nayar community, there were, and in the Namburi community also, there were polygamy followed. But when it has been made into a law, I mean, they were asked to change yourself. There was no agitation against it. That's my point. That's all.
So last.
Just.
Yeah.
About the point about Buddhist. As far as the Hindu law is concerned, the definition of Hindu, as far as the law is concerned, it is the Sanatanis, the Buddhists, the Jains, the Sikhs, everybody is included in that law. Already in the Hindu law it is included.
The Hindu code bill that he was referring to, that includes
personal law.
And Buddhist, a particular group is talking against that. They want to come out of demanding. They are demanding. That is also going on.
Sir, we are an economics institute and we study deficits and all, but one thing we have not been able to solve is how to solve the problem of time deficit. Okay. So since we are running out of time, it's a very big and interesting topic, and sir has given, Nandakumarji has given us a lot of food for thought, an excellent exposition, very firm, clear, unambiguous, crystal clear exposition. Of course, we are free to disagree, and that is why we are here in the university environment, because debate, disagreement, dissent, but healthy debates are what is all about it. But we have to, of course, not be indefinite debate. There has to reach some conclusion. I just want to add half a minute of comment. He mentioned the incident in 1986, which was the precursor to a lot of major developments in India. He referred to the decision by the then Prime Minister. But I also want to remind, if you don't know, especially youngsters, that decision was so alarming to one of his cabinet colleagues, Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan, that he resigned in protest against that. And so that also we should remember. Anyway, sir, thank you. Please give him a warm applause today. And
one simple sentence.
Yes, sure.
No.
Yeah.
आपने जो इंग्लिश में बताया वो तो मैंने संस्कृत में बताना चाहता हूँ. विमर्शेतद् Asheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. That is our stand. You can discuss, you can resent, sir, you can resent, you can oppose, and if you feel something good is in it, you please follow. If you are not seeing nothing is there, just discard it. There is no. Yathechasi tatha kuru. You can do whatever you want. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for an enlightening talk. May I invite our Vice Chancellor to present a token of our appreciation to J Nandakumar. It is a book on Mahatma Gandhi's experiences with Gopal Krishna Gokhale. We also have another esteemed guest, Mr. Pradeep Rawat. He was an esteemed member of Parliament in 1999 and an Indian politician affiliated with the BJP. Thank you so much. Tomorrow there's also a session by Mr. Ashok Kumar Lahiri at 5 o'clock, New Seminar Hall. We will wait for your attendance. Thank you.